Welcome back to the Jessberry podcast. Today we have MJ Hunkins joining us. He is a sports enthusiast and a powerful voice for personal transformation. After multiple prison sentences, MJ made a courageous move to Arizona to start over and build a new life. Now 4 years sober, he has turned adversity into purpose, proving that redemption and alignment are possible. His journey reflects resilience, accountability, and the commitment to pay it forward. Thank you for joining us today, MJ.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So we actually just met, that was like a week ago, right?
Yeah, Brand X.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that feels like so long ago already. But we had an opportunity to meet at Travis Brady's event, Brand X, and we were volunteering behind the scenes, and it was a really good opportunity. And I liked getting to know you a little bit more. And one thing that stood out is when you mentioned that you had been in a high-speed chase, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to hear this. Because I don't know anybody who's been in a high speed chase and is like, yeah, you're just you come across as like so chill and grounded and calm. And so I'm sure that you've put in a lot of work to get to where you're at today. Even just going over that introduction, um, I feel like we have so much to talk about. So I'm excited to dive into it.
So yeah, about the high speed chase. It was actually one of the first times I was trying to get sober, and I went to inpatient, and then I was in a sober living, and I went back to my hometown to see my family, and unfortunately, I ran into some old friends, and I had about 13 or 14 months clean, and I ended up drinking a beer, and then they were like, "Hey, we're gonna go pick up crack. Do you want to go?" And I was just without thinking, I was like, "Yeah." And I was gonna only do a little bit, and then I ended up doing a lot. And when you do cocaine or crack, your body temperature rises. So, and it was the summertime, so I was sweating through my clothes, and I was just like, I can't go back with my clothes drenched. They're gonna know something's wrong. So, like, I took off my clothes and I was trying to like dry them out, and I was ended up like being naked in my car, and I was just like, okay, I'm in my car. If someone drives by, they're gonna wonder what's going on. So I found an abandoned house, and I went in their backyard, and I was trying to have like the air blow dry them out, and like
Mm-hmm.
hopefully they wouldn't notice when I went back. But as I was walking back to my car, there happened to be a cop right there, and they're like, "Hey," and I was just like, how am I gonna explain this?" So I jumped in my car and I got into a high speed chase. During the high speed chase, I hit a bump and I flew in the air and then landed and blew out all my tires. So then I was just riding on rims and my car overheated. And I ended up jumping out of the car. I took all the crack and the pipe and I ran and I ended up jumping in the river and I dropped all that. And then when I got out of the river, cop cocked a gun, like a shotgun, and it's a real shotgun, but I didn't know they had rubber bullets, so I got like scared, and then he shot me. Then I went to go to attack him, and then they jumped on top of me. I broke my collarbone, and then I was off to prison. So yeah, don't smoke crack. Crack is bad. Crack is whack. Yeah. So I was all over the news.
Yeah. Damn. What so many questions. Okay, first, how long ago was that? How old were you?
That was in 2016, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, 2015, 2016.
Okay.
So I don't remember how old. I was
Wow.
somewhere in my 20s.
And was that the first time that you had gone to prison? Was for that?
No,
Okay.
no, that wasn't my first time. My first time was I got the cops kicked in the door because I've been selling drugs for a long time. I used to ride around with like Spanish Cobras, so I sold a lot of cocaine, and then I started selling heroin. So I got delivery manufacturer of heroin, and that was the first time I went to prison.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And so then with that time for the high speed chase, was that the last time?
That was the last time of me ever catching charges. The
Okay.
last time I went, I was a probation violation. I was with someone that was at down here you call it fries, back around that we call it pick and save, and he was stealing. But just since I was with him, they gave me a
Mm,
probation violation, and they tried to give me 2 years for this guy stealing steaks. So I went to
okay.
prison for steaks
And where was this all happening? Did you say where
in
did you grow up?
Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Okay. Is that where you're from?
Well,
Okay.
I'm from a
Gotcha.
town right next to Milwaukee. It's Waukesha, but it's like 10, 15 minutes from Milwaukee. So No one really knows where Waukesha is, but a lot of people know Milwaukee, so I just say Milwaukee.
Gotcha. Did you end up leaving because you just moved recently to Arizona, right? Like in the past few years?
Yeah, I was actually on St. Patrick's Day of 2021.
And tell us about like what prompted that move. Was it just to kind of get away from that scene from the hometown there?
It was exactly that scene. My family too is pretty toxic, especially on my father's side. So the day I signed my parole paper and I finally got out done with parole, I was on parole for 10 years. I just jumped on a plane. I knew that out here had a big recovery scene. So during COVID, I kind of relapsed and I asked to go to jail. And then even my PO, because during COVID, they're like, you can't go there. And I was just like, damn, that's kind of like my safe haven because I've been in jail so much, like I got used to that lifestyle. And so I went to rehab, and then I was pretty much done with being on paper. And so I just told my mom, like, when I'm done, I'm getting on a plane. No one believed me. Everyone thought I was just bullshitting, but I was like, no. So I signed my paperwork, and from there, I went to the airport and came out here to Arizona and just started new. Not much of a plan. I just is like, I can't keep doing this. So
Mm-hmm. What guided your actions coming out here day to day? What helps you kind of find your path?
to come out here, there really was not much thinking. I just saw a place called Sober Apartment of Living, and I called them up, and they're like, "Yeah, we got beds, but they fill up all the time. So just let us know." And I was just like, "Okay, well." So when I finally flew down here, I just called them and was hoping to God there was a bed. And if there wasn't, I was like, "Well, I've heard this place has so many sober livings and things like that." I'm like, "Some place has to have a bed." So I didn't really put much thinking. My life was always very hectic, so I was just like, well, what's any different than me just getting on a plane and you know
Yeah,
coming out here and figuring it out? It's always been my whole life was I'm gonna figure it out as I go.
right. Just kind of like embracing that chaos, sounds like.
Yeah, my life has always been chaos. So even when I was a kid, it was always chaos.
Do you feel like you're still kind of in that chaotic state of being, or what's helped you find peace in your life?
Well, that's the thing. I've always been kind of like this, just because of kind of backtracking. Like on my dad's side, it was always chaotic, and I've just learned if you're more calm, less likely the violence is going to come to you. People that are always moving around are more likely to end up in more stuff. I don't know if I can really cuss on this podcast, but so I've always just been kind of calm, and that's just kind of how I survived. So I've always been like this. It's more like chaotic internally,
Mm,
but people really can't tell.
mm,
Like my mom and my grandparents and all that didn't really know a lot of the stuff that was going on in my life until I finally went to prison. They're like, "Wow, we didn't even see this coming." They kind of knew, but they didn't
hmm.
know it was to the level I was doing it at.
Yeah, I think it's pretty easy to keep that chaos hidden from other people, especially people closest.
Hmm.
What does your relationship with your family look like now?
On my dad's side, it's really non-existent. On my
Hmm.
mom's side, I'm actually living with my mom, helping her take care of my grandparents. So that's kind of chaotic, just because like my grandparents don't listen, and it's like trying to take care of your kids, but they're your grandparents. Like they
Yeah.
don't want to listen. You're trying to help them out,
Hmm.
and then even when I came out here, I got really involved in like helping others. Like on Wednesdays, I'd go out and help the homeless. I was part of this thing called ASCII Paw that's for like AA. Like I was also doing like side work. I was doing so much that like my life was starting to crumble just because I
Mm,
didn't know. I always was used to chaos, so I wasn't good at just sitting around. I have to go, go, go.
mm. Got you.
So it's good chaos, but it's still chaos.
Yeah, kind of a lot of movement still.
Yeah.
Have you found any practices that help with that internal chaos?
At night, I'll listen to like SMR, like YouTube things. I tried meditation. I'm still working, being calmer. But
Hmm.
it's just like I said, this chaos now is more generated to helping people and bettering myself, rather than the chaos before is more of poisoning the community and
Mm,
just being around people I shouldn't be around. So at least the people now that I'm around chaos is to help build me up and build character.
I think it's a lot about energy and how you're directing that. It sounds like before it was more of a destructive channeling of that energy, but now you're looking for spaces and outlets where you can pour that energy into people and spaces, and it's a more of a positive outcome.
Well, that's funny that you say energy because in AA there's a thing called the 12 steps, and you have to find a higher power. And my higher
Hmm.
power is energy, so I
Hmm.
can kind of tell. Like always being in chaos, like I could tell a certain type of energy, and if there's a person I'm like, this doesn't feel right, I just
Hmm.
try to not involve myself in their life. I try to just gravitate towards people like you or Travis, people that I see that are doing good, and they wanting to help people. I'm like, all right, let me hang out with these types of people.
Yeah, yeah, that's a huge shift when we get more in tune with that energy with ourselves, but also other people, and really only allowing uh, people in our space that is in alignment with our highest energy too. Uh,
Hmm.
Well, how did you come about that? Was it through AA?
Uh, no, actually, it was in prison. There was this native guy because in Wisconsin there's a lot of native people, and he was talking about vibrations and energy and stuff like that. And that was the first time because when I was growing up, I had to go like CCD, like all the Catholic schooling and all that on Sundays, and I just didn't understand it because there was just so many things where I'm like, we say this, but then this happens. And when he was talking about energy and vibrations, I was like, well, that makes sense because I can feel it, and just for me, I like it. I could understand it how he was saying that. So then moving forward, that's how I started. Like, okay, let me shift away from you. All right, what are you doing here? Maybe I should hang out with you. And then slowly but surely, my life changed around, and I started making better decisions. It didn't click completely right away, but after a while, I noticed that the people I are hanging around with were a lot better for me than who I used to.
That's awesome. How did your time in prison shape your understanding of your personal responsibility and growth?
So in prison, my first time in prison, I went to this boot camp, and it's supposed to take 6 months. It took me like nine because at first I was young and I was like, "You're not going to tell me what to do," but they quickly took that away from me because it's very physical and demanding. And so you had to take these criminal thinking, all this certain type of classes. They kind of made me look at it and the civilian eyes, just
Hmm.
because I hung out with like gangs and all that. I always just saw things through that perspective. So when I got out, that helped me kind of start focusing. Like, let me go to AA and let me start hanging out with these people. But I was still trying to like dabble in my old life. And then my second time in prison, not much really changed. But my third time, I started picking up books. And I just told everyone that I was in prison that knew me, like, hey, I don't want to talk to y'all. I was the guy with the books because I was always going to the library. And that's actually how I came up with my idea for the business that I'm trying to start, the crisp and clean laundry service. This old Cuban guy was just like, that's a pretty big book for someone in prison. And at first I got mad. I'm like, what does that mean? Like I thought he was trying to make fun of me. And he's like, no, no, no. I just wouldn't think someone in prison would be. It was an Oxford book of Mexican history. It was like 900 pages, and people usually just read like hood books or look at magazines. And so he started teaching me like Spanish, and it was like telling me like, hey, maybe you should try doing a legit business rather than selling drugs. Because I
Hmm.
was sold a dream that ended up being a nightmare because I just kept going to prison. So I was like, okay. And then I started learning the stock market, started playing with stocks, taught myself that. So my last time in prison was when I finally like maybe I should try doing business legitimately because I'm not really a 9 to 5 type of person. I like doing what I want to do when I want to do it. I mean,
Hmm.
right now I'm working a 9 to 5, but my plan is to be my own boss. And I got the business plan in prison.
Wow.
Mhm.
How, uh, t- so tell us more about the business idea.
So my business is for right now, I'll just use other people's laundromats, but I'll just come pick up your clothes, wash them, fold them, and deliver them back to you until I'm able to get my own laundromat, and then that'll be my base. But until
Mhm.
then, I'll just use other people's laundromats. Like they're
Yeah.
not gonna care. I'm still bringing them money, so.
Why laundry? What about that pulls you in?
Why laundry? Well, first, because I mean, me, but I know a lot of people they do laundry, but they never want to fold them or put them away. They end up in their hamper. You know, they're clean, but they're all wrinkled. And people I notice will go and use Uber Eats, even for McDonald's. People love convenience, and no one likes to do laundry. I've never really met someone that said, "Oh yeah, I can't wait to do my laundry." So I'm like, well, I'll do it for you, you know. And I
Yeah.
just figured people will quickly be like, "Yeah, man, let me, you know, pay for you to do it for me."
What's the next step in getting that started?
The next step is, you know, I'm thinking just for me, I'll start doing people's laundry for free, just so I can figure out the ways to fold it, how I'm going to deliver,
Hmm.
get like a website so they can write reviews. Like, hey, I'll do it for free. Just write me a review, because that's usually how people see if they want to deal with you in business. They check the reviews. So if I can get some good reviews, maybe they'll be like, okay, I'll give you a shot.
Yeah, the social proof is definitely a big thing when starting a business.
Mm.
Yeah, well, you can fold my laundry. That sounds great. I'm one of those people that's like, I don't want to fold this.
Yeah, it's easy to press start, but when it comes to pulling it out of the dryer, yeah, it's like I'll do it later, and then later comes 4 days later, and you're like, oh man, I gotta start
Hmm.
over.
Hmm. Speaking about starting over, since you've been out in Arizona, looking back on everything, what do you feel like has been the biggest influence in helping you to get where you are at today and overcoming the adversity?
Basically, just the people that were in AA, because I saw they looked like they were happy, and that, you know, I heard their stories, and I'm like, oh man, like if they can do it, why can't I? So when I first came out here, like I said, I didn't have a job, but well, I got a job within a couple days. But I was going to meetings, and I remember telling you about ASCIIPA. It's this Arizona State Conference for young people in AA, and I just realized people that usually help, you know, do things just out of self, they tend to get farther in life. So I heard people talking about it, and I was like, that's who I need to talk to. So I jumped into that, and then quickly my social circle blew up. Like all of a sudden, I knew everybody, and I was only out here for a couple months, and everyone kind of knew me. And then
Hmm.
I just kept getting invited to other things. Um, and then I'd meet certain people, and they'd be like, "Oh, I'm doing this," and I'm like, "That sounds cool." And then my circle even got larger, because when you're networking, even when you're not going to a networking event, just networking in just general life, people will be like, "Oh, hey, you seem kind of cool. Like, you want to come check this out?" And then you'll meet someone, and then the next thing you know, it's just like you have all these avenues of either making money or taking your time out to, like, because if I'm alone and I'm thinking, that's when it's dangerous. So when I'm talking to people and doing things, I'm like, all right, I'm able to lay my head down. Nothing crazy happened, and you know, lived another day.
Sounds like the importance of surrounding yourself with a positive, lifting, supportive community has been
Yeah.
influential. It's super important, especially like with your sobriety. So 4 years sober, that is a major milestone. What daily habits or mindset shifts have been the most critical in maintaining that?
So when I wake up, like I try to stick to a routine. So like I'll put my face in that ice cold tub of water. I'll tend to get to work early. Like a lot of people would get to work like just on time or a little late. I'll get it there like a half hour early to make sure that my mind is like, you know, like ready for the job. Because my job can be hectic. So I tend to get places early and tend to get my mind shifted to what I'm about to do next, because when I go somewhere and it's right on time and it instantly just turns into chaos, then like I have anxiety. So then sometimes I can't catch up with my mind. So then I start making mistakes. So really for me, it was just making sure I get places early and get my mind set for the next task, rather than just go, 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 which how my life was before. Like I said, I just kind of figured it out as I went. Now I get there and I get my mind centered for the next thing I'm supposed to do.
I love that. Like setting yourself up for success, being
Hmm.
intentionally there early so you can kind
Yeah.
of get a handle on everything.
Yeah, get grounded basically.
Yeah, get grounded. I love that. Have you how has nature played a part in your life?
I don't really do a lot of hiking, but I
Hmm.
will just sit outside just to sit outside. I know like the sun, if you're always inside, you tend, at least for me, I tend to get negative because I'm just scrolling social media and I'm noticing like, oh, why can't my life be that? But if I put my
Hmm.
phone down and I just sit outside, I don't have to do anything. Like I just sit out there and let the sun
Hmm.
hit my skin. I'm like I hear the birds chirping and the wind, and I'm like, life's great, you know? Like it's not a lot going on, but sometimes you just need that. You don't need chaos all the time. Sometimes you just need that peace, get centered, and just notice like, hey, I'm not in prison. I'm outside. Because you don't get a lot of that either. When you're in prison, you don't get a lot of outside time. And if you do, you're surrounded by electrical walls and you're like, you know you're not free.
Mm.
Now like I can go and do things when I want to, and a lot of times it's just sitting out there and enjoying the life that I have now.
I love that perspective and finding the gratitude in what you have now versus
Hmm.
what you didn't have before. That's huge. Were there any crazy stories or things that happened that you want to share while you were in prison?
I mean, I know this one guy. I was in prison and I was shaving, and a lot of people like to gamble. Gamble is like a huge thing in prison to pass time. And he was like, "Hey, you need to pay me." And the guy's like, "Well, I'm not gonna pay you. Do something about it." And there's the caution while wet signs that like fold. He grabbed that and just bashed the guy over the face with it, and it just cut his whole face open. And then he just started just beating him. I mean, there was
Oh my
so
gosh.
much blood, and I was just standing in like the stall where you take a shit, just backed up. Like I didn't want nothing to do with this. And then the CEOs let it happen until they get like everyone there, like they're suited, booted with the shields, and they come in with these like tasers and all these types of like they're not real guns, but they're like they can do damage. And I put my arms up and I was like, I have nothing to do with this. I was just shaving. They're like, get the hell out of here. I'm like, say less. I'm out.
Yes, say less.
But yeah, I mean, there's fights every day in prison. It's not like I saw someone with their head chopped off or anything, but I mean, every day just fights, and then all of a sudden, being outside rec yard would be over, and you just have to sit in your cell. There's a lot of that, but yeah, as
Yeah.
long as you just don't really gamble and you don't do too much, you just stay to yourself. Because in Wisconsin, it's more gang ran than out here. It's more like race. There's more politics out here. Out there, it's more if you're not trying to sell dope and you're not gang banging and you just kind of mind your business. As long as you don't owe money, you're fine. But as soon as you owe money, uh, you're fucked.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah, you need to pay up or you need to go to an infirmary.
While you were while you're in prison, were there any moments where you felt like you were noticing different aspects of yourself, like who you were you noticing parts of yourself that you didn't want to keep around, or like things that you wanted to change, is what I'm trying to say.
When you are in prison at first, you're like, I'm never going to come back here again, right?
Hmm.
But the longer you're there, the more you get comfortable, and then the more the outside world starts to be where you're like, I'm not sure I want to do this anymore. It's weird. You get used to that lifestyle. Because, again, a lot of times people in prison, they just need structure. None of our lives are structured. It's complete chaos. And so, it's some way, like you love the chaos, but in other ways you don't. So, when you become an inmate and you start to have that structure, you're like, I can do this for the rest of my life. So, it gets scary. Like I said, in 2020, I was trying to go back to jail and they're like, no. And I was just like, this is the first time you guys ever told me no. It's always been like, all right, fine. You want to go back.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, all right, something's wrong. I'm trying to go to jail and they won't even let me. I need to change something around.
Would you say that was your defining pivot point in life, or is there another moment?
I mean, there's always been different pivot points. It's just making sure once you finally pivot, you don't fall back. It's so easy to fall back because you forget where you came from when life was just completely chaotic and you kept thinking like, man, I wish I just wouldn't wake up. You just wish you'd die. And then you get so far from that, you forget. So that's kind of why you have to always like go to meetings and just stay centered and stay around certain people like that so that
Hmm.
it can keep you like, hey, don't go back to this, you know. That's why they always say the newcomer is the most important person because it reminds the people that haven't been there in a while, like, oh, that's how it used to be, and I don't want to be that.
What would you say moving forward? What's the main focus for you in life right now?
Main focus, just trying to get my finances together, get my business going, and then my recovery.
Hmm.
Actually, recovery's first, but then, you know, all that kind of comes with it, and just keep networking and just keep trying to grow. I really don't know where it's gonna go because whenever you plan, it never goes the way you plan it. So I just figured live it day by day and then I guess see where it goes from there.
I think it's important to have like some idea of where you want to go and have that intention and be able to visualize different things, but then also kind of surrendering to the process and trusting that energy or the higher power, God, or the universe is working for your benefit if you allow it to.
Yeah, if you manifest it in the right way.
Hmm. What are you most grateful for right now?
Most grateful for my recovery and then just the family and friends that are in my life now. I think a long time ago, I never really had true friends. I just had people that we both saw that we needed each other or they did something for you. So
Hmm.
you kept them around until their purpose was no longer needed. Uh, Now I notice people are actually truly there because they want me to be there, which it's just great. Sometimes it sucks because they want to hang out, and I'm like, oh man, I just because I'm an introvert, so I need my battery to recharge.
Yeah,
And
same.
they're like, no, come out, come out, and I'm like, all right, fine. And then I'll be like, I'll just chill tomorrow. And then the next
Mm.
day comes, and then someone else wants to hang out. And they're like, well, you hung out yesterday. Why can't you hang out with me? And now it's just like, a double edged sword. Like, I'm glad they're in my life, but sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I could just be left alone for a little bit.
Yeah, you got to put yourself first for sure. And I think anybody who's actually there to support you is going to understand. Like, MJ's more of an introvert. Like, it's cool.
Yeah, they don't
He needs
believe
his
me.
time.
Yeah, because when I'm out, I can be definitely the center of attention. So they
Yeah,
think I'm an extrovert and that I'm just, you know, that I'm
yeah.
really not an introvert, but I'm like, no, I really am. I like my isolation.
I'm the same way. I'm like, I just need a little bit of both.
Sorry. I don't know. I put it on did not disturb, but I just got a call.
That's
Actually,
okay.
from my dad.
Oh, wow. Have you talked to him recently?
Yeah, I talked to him, but I try not to because he's usually drunk and it's just a depressing
Mm,
talk. So he's probably
yeah.
drunk and has no one to talk to. So he's trying to call me.
Well, I guess we'll find out after the
I
recording.
probably won't
Hopefully he's
answer.
okay.
I'll wait a day or two. I don't really feel like talking to him, but he's got cirrhosis of the liver. He's supposed to be sober, but he just refuses.
Mm.
There's nothing I can tell him.
I think that's awesome. You have that awareness and that boundary with yourself. You're in tune with, like you mentioned before, like I don't want to go out or I don't want to talk to him. Like you got to honor yourself and what feels good for you.
Hmm. Yeah, it took me a while to do that with my father, but after a while, I just got tired.
Yeah, you got to put yourself first, no matter who the other person is. And I
Hmm.
think a lot of us, I mean, I don't know if anybody really has the ideal like family situation. The more everyone I meet, like everyone has something going on. But um, I've learned that your family it really is who you make it, and sometimes it is your biological family, but you get to choose who you get to keep closest to you.
Yeah, family's who you choose. Relative is, blood. So, yeah, there's some relatives that I just tend to not talk to because it's just always poor me. And I'm like, man, you got never have anything good to say. It's always just negative.
It's hard to elevate yourself when you're surrounded by people who are not willing to elevate themselves.
Yeah, they drain your energy really quickly.
Yeah, yeah. So looking back with everything winding down, I want to ask if there was one lesson from life that you've learned, what would that be?
One lesson that, well, for me, that drugs and alcohol. It's just there's nothing good. Like you see in all the movies and commercials, it's always like parties and everything's great. In my life, it started out like that, but it never ends like that. So life being sober is definitely a lot better. As even people that aren't alcoholics or addicts, you'll see them, they'll go out and in the next couple of days, they're dragging ass. They have no motivation. So it's just like you spend all that money to just be dull for the next couple of days. It's
Mm-hmm.
fun for that night, and they wake up and their bank account's a couple $100 less. They made mistakes that they're like, "Oh, I wish I wouldn't have done that." I don't do that anymore. I might make mistakes, but I know what I made. Like it sucks when you don't really know what you've done, but you know internally, like, oh man, I'm waiting for the ball to drop. Like, what did I do? I don't have to worry about that no more.
Instead, you're choosing to be an active participant in your life every day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My last question for you today, MJ, is going to be looking back at your 10-year-old self, what do you think your 10-year-old self would say to you? And then what would you say to him?
10-year-old self, don't worry about certain relationships. When I was younger, I just thought everyone that was in my life then was always going to be there, you know? And I was so ready to grow up. And so now I've been like, don't rush it and just stick. I used to be a yes person. Now I learned how to say no. So telling them like you can say no. You don't have to make everyone like you.
Mm-hmm. Love that. And what would 10-year-old MJ say to you?
Then you know what you're talking about, and I know everything. I don't know what he would have said, but back then I
I'm just
thought I
kidding.
had it figured out.
Well, I love that. The honesty there. I think our inner child, stays with us even as an adult. I feel like that's a huge part of the journey is learning how to um, provide a space for our inner child to still exist and play and have room to just be. Do you feel like you're able to do that in your day-to-day life, or is that something you're working on?
Something I'm working on. There's definitely times, depending on who I'm with, where my inner child could definitely come out. Uh, but it's also like sometimes my inner child, like I still get scared. Like I sometimes feel like I'm still that high school student trying to figure out life, and then I'm like, damn, I'm almost 40. Like, when does the figuring out life part happen? And everyone older than me is like, never. You just wing it. You never figure it out. You just kind of hope you make the best decision. And if you
Yeah.
don't, deal with the consequences and move on.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your part of your story and being vulnerable. And to everybody listening, this is MJ's first podcast. You can't even tell he's a natural. So thank you so much for choosing to do something that you've never done before. I thought you were great, and I really enjoyed the conversation.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. I learned how to be comfortable being uncomfortable.
Yes, I love that. Proud of you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you again, MJ. And to anyone listening, please share with somebody who came to mind as you were listening. And remember that you are worthy, you're capable, and deserving of all good things. And you have the choice to be an active participant in your life, just like MJ. Doesn't matter what you've been through, where you've been, you always have that choice and the power inside of you to do and to create better things. Thank you, and we will see you on the next episode.